Malmö's history stretches back 800 years, but the traces of the first people are much older than that. Malmö was, for a long time, one of Sweden's largest industrial cities. Today, Malmö is the fastest growing city in Sweden.
Malmö underwent a major change during the 20th century. I came in and built something amazing. They said that I'm the reason Malmö is so great, but...
No, Donald, that's not true. But the construction of Folkhemmet, closure of the industrial society, and transition to a city with a university and a fixed connection to the continent changed the city forever. Västra Hamnen consists of land masses which were filled in successively for the Kockums shipyard. During its heyday in the 1950s and 1960s, Kockums was one of the world's largest shipyards with around 6,000 employees. After the oil crisis at the end of the 1970s, things went from bad to worse for shipyard operations, and in 1986 a decision was made to shut down ship production. The starting point for the expansion of Västra Hamnen was a European housing fair in 2001. A completely new part of the city was built.
This is Joe Biden's nursing home?
No, but this is turning torso. Up until recently, the 190 meters twisting skyscraper was the tallest building in Scandinavia.
Oh man, this place really has some great ice cream.
Maybe...
Is there a KFC or McDonald's?
No!
This looks so disgusting. Can I swim there?
The canals in Malmö were from the beginning part of the city's defense. They lay like a ring around the city, and there were only a few bridges connecting the city with the surroundings. At the beginning of the 19th century, an agreement stipulated that the contractors who demolished the old fortifications around the city would construct a number of canals. This work, which began in 1805, was considerably delayed and was only completed in 1821.
Oh, a church. I'm actually more Christian than Jesus.
St. Peter's Church probably began to be built in the early 14th century. The church was built over about 80 years, starting from east to west. Through trade, the merchants came into contact with the Hanseatic cities on the north coast of Germany and around the Baltic Sea, which inspired the architecture.
Oh, Barack, do you think they have ice cream there?
Not important! Ribersborg was inaugurated in 1926. A sandy beach more than 200 meters long became a novelty for the city's inhabitants. At the time, around the First World War, Ribersborgstranden looked completely different. At this time, there was no sand. Instead, the beach consisted of pebbles, mud, and rotting seaweed, a stinking wasteland.
It's like Donald Trump.
Anyway, the current sandy beach is not natural, but artificial.
Just like Crooked Joe.
I'm so tired of you two.
Oh, another ice cream truck.
No, this is a church, not so old, built in 1882.
It's younger than Crooked Joe.
Malmö is a city of many nationalities. People from over 179 countries live in the city. Malmö originally belonged to Denmark. It became Swedish in 1658.
Can we buy it? If we can buy Greenland, then we can buy Malmö too. Seems like you can buy anything from the Danish.
Donald, we never bought Greenland.
What? But my aides told me we had...
Okay, sure, Donald, we did. Anyway, Malmö is a city surrounded by nature. In fact, it's called the City of Parks. One of those parks is the King's Park, or Kungsparken. It's the oldest park in Malmö, and was created on land that formerly belonged to the fortifications of Malmöhus Castle. The park was opened in 1872 and was originally called the Castle Park, or Slottsparken. It's spelled with an O and not with a U. The names tend to confuse people, though.
Many people are saying it was named after me. They say that I'm the real king.
No one is saying that.
My uncle told me about the castle fire of Malmö Castle. Yeah.
Well, Malmö Castle is a medieval castle located on Castle Island in Malmö. It was built between 1526 and 1539, and it's the oldest preserved Renaissance castle in the Nordic region. The fire broke out in 1529 during the construction. Another fire broke out in 1870 when the castle was a prison. An arson destroyed the entire west wing and parts of the south wing. the city's then barely 26,000 inhabitants felt strongly threatened by the 1,000 prisoners who were in the castle, and a reinforced military guard was deployed. Just like Ribersborg, the place that is now the King's Park used to almost be a swamp that was not very pleasant to stay in, a military area inaccessible to the public.
Drain the swamp.
Did only deplorables go there?
Be quiet, I'm trying to tell a story here.
He's so boring.
Falling asleep here.
You're always falling asleep.
That's enough. Anyway, the park became a popular place for the citizens to spend their free time. At the beginning of the 20th century, the need for green areas in the city became increasingly important. A new form of areas was established for the summer. From the beginning, they had a clear focus on the cultivation of fruit, berries, and vegetables. The purpose of the colony areas was to counteract poverty and malnutrition. Over time, however, voices within the labor movement came to highlight the need for recreation for the less privileged, and areas came to be known as summer towns from the 1920s. Colony areas were often established on so-called useless land that for various reasons was difficult to exploit with any greater economic return.
Just like Hunter Biden's laptop.
Oh, come on, man.
Is that a new ear piercing, Donald? Even before the Baltic exhibition in 1914, there were plans for the area to become a park in the future. But it would take some time before the park grew. The First World War and economic bad times came in between. The dam itself is older than that. Already at the end of the 15th century, it was made up of a dammed stream. It was here that the city got its water. In the 17th century, the dam was expanded. To strengthen the dam around the lake, willow trees were planted all around. That's how the name Willow Dam came about. The Baltic exhibition in 1914 was a great success and a milestone in Malmö's history. Although the prevailing optimism, with faith in the future and booming economic growth, was dashed by the First World War, which broke out in the last month of the exhibition.
I was there.
Today, there are still remnants of the Baltic exhibition hidden in various places in the park.
I built this one. There's a wall around it that I made the Danish pay for.
No, Donnie. Hilly is the district that connects southern Malmö with the continent. From fertile, almost undeveloped arable land, the district has grown rapidly to become a densely built-up place with a major climate focus.
Oh, I changed my mind. I have nothing to do with this.
In the past, there was only dill, fields, and a water tower. Next came the Malmö Arena, and 10 years after the bridge had been built, a windy train station was inaugurated where the Öresund trains began to stop. Then came the offices, and finally the people, those who make up the city. Now is one of Sweden's most dynamic neighborhoods thanks to its location halfway between Malmö Central and Copenhagen Airport. It's still being developed, and new neighborhoods are popping up on what used to be fields and farmlands. This is the remains of Sweden's first airport for commercial traffic. Not much is left, because most of the area is now a park, and the main runway was changed into a highway. Bulltofta Airport was constructed between 1917 and 1923. In 1924, the routes to Copenhagen, the world's shortest, and Hamburg was opened. During the 30s, Bulltofta became an important European airport. This despite the runways remaining unpaved until 1952. During World War II, the airfield served as the base for the Scania wing, whose main task was to intercept German and Allied aircraft, violating Swedish airspace. Because of the proximity of Malmö to the German coast, Sweden's declared neutrality, and an agreement between the American Bomber Command and the Swedish government, many heavily damaged Allied bomber aircraft came to land at Bulltofta instead of attempting to make it back to their own airfields in England. These emergency landings occurred mostly during the spring and summer of 1944. The 50s and 60s saw the arrival of mass tourism and jet planes, which Bulltofta Airport was too small to accommodate, and it had become a source of noise pollution for the area. A new airport was needed further away from Malmö. Sturup Airport opened in 1972. In the same year, Bulltofta Airport was involved in a hijacking incident.
And what airport did they use during the American Civil War?
Oh, that was
I know
some good
history,
times, I remember.
and that was an important event. Airplanes were tremendously important.
Oh yeah, Donald. There were lots of aircrafts in the Civil War. Another area that continues to develop is Limhamn. What used to be an industrial area has developed into a small exclusive neighborhood by the sea.
This is how America should look. No one can enter. Can we put alligators and dragons there too?
What are you talking about, man? There's no such things as alligators.
Why are you even here?
I don't know.
They told me there was ice cream.
Okay, the island consists of slag products that were dumped during the time when lime was mined for cement production in Limhamn's Kalkbrott. It began to be built up with residential buildings in the early 1990s. Limhamn's lime mine is a unique place. It is 1,300 meters long and 65 meters deep. Mining began in 1866 and continued until 1994. The lime in Limhamn's lime quarry was formed in a warm sea between 65 to 62 million years ago. It consists mainly of deposits from microscopic coccoliths, bryozoans, and corals. In some limestone layers, there are lots of shark teeth, from sharks that swam around here millions of years ago. Fossils of crocodiles have also been found in the limestone quarry.
See? I told you there's crocs here.
You know they're long gone, right? This was millions of years ago.
That's a lie. The Earth isn't that old.
Nowadays, Kalk brought it as a nature reserve, and it will never be filled again. But we only need to go a few kilometers away to the lime quarry in Klagshamn to see what it could have looked like. The mine there has long been a beautiful lake. The mine was closed almost 100 years ago. Just like around the lime quarry in Limhamn, Klagshamn has been transformed into a beautiful nature reserve.
Maybe I can build a casino there.
Stop it, man. It will just go bankrupt.
One of the most famous landmarks in Malmö is the Öresund Bridge. It was inaugurated in the year 2000 and connects Sweden with the rest of Europe. And like so many other parts of Malmö, it's surrounded by nature.
I don't like it. Too many trees. They say that it kills the birds. And the trees gives you cancer too.
Maybe you should spend more time in the woods.
It's civilized now, Joe. South of the bridge is Lernacken, an artificial headland. As early as the beginning of the 20th century, the area began to be used to deposit mudstone from Limhamn's lime quarry. The deposition did not stop until 1998. For almost 40 years, oil and industrial sludge from Malmö's sewage treatment plant was also deposited at the site. Nowadays, it is a nature reserve and a refuge for many different birds. North of the bridge is Sibbarp, with sea bathing areas and recreation areas. Limhamn's Marina, Malmö's largest harbor for small boats.
All these small boats, what a misery. I wouldn't even go near a boat that small.
No, because it would sink if you got on it.
That's enough.
Okay.
Okay.
This is the home of Malmö's football club, a classic club that was started in 1910. They play in the Champions League from time to time, and even reached the finals in 1979. Malmö has undergone many changes over the years. There are problems with gang crime and segregation, with cultures that don't always understand each other. But despite its shortcomings, it is a vibrant city where many cultures actually coexist. Almost 750 years after the city was first mentioned in historical writings, it is buzzing with life like never before. From its beautiful beaches and verdant parks to falafel stands and luxury restaurants, from rundown tenements to expensive villas. A seething cultural life and a football club that constantly reaches new heights. Malmö is the city of the future that never stops growing, It will boil with life for at least another 750 years. And that is the way to go for a city that refused to die and just go quiet into that dark night.